ready, cause showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
I am never going to release those files. But sir, you're losing your base. Everyone thinks you're in them. Oh, well, go ahead and release the files. But sir, you already have the power to do that yourself. I do? Well, I'm not going to do it. Make Congress do it. But sir.
Uncensored, unfiltered, unhinged. It's the Karel Cast. Listen daily on your favorite streaming service.
It is the Crowcast. I am Karel, so very glad you are joining me on this Monday. Is it Monday? It is Monday. It is Monday, the 17th of November. Who would have thought we are so close to the end of the year? But we are, children. We are. And here we are on the 17th of November. We've got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, there's been a lot of movement on the Epstein files. So we will talk about that. Also, watching a screener this weekend made me literally almost just fall down on the floor and say, what? You mean we've done this before? So we're going to talk about that. And can dogs see things that you can't? There's a movie out that challenges that question. We're going to talk about that. And we've just got a lot. We've got a lot. This morning, though, I was happy. Can we just start a little personal stuff? It's been the weekend, that sort of stuff. This morning, I was asked, how do I always seem to be the person that gets involved in so many odd things? For instance, at Desert Breeze, where I go to the park, I found a dead guy, as you all know. Well, this morning, Amber and I were walking, talking to my sister on the phone, and suddenly I'm like, oh my God, she's all, what's going on? A cop, a police officer in an SUV pulled out of the park across Spring Mountain. And I don't know what was wrong with him. I don't know if he was distracted or what, but he literally pulled into oncoming traffic. And so this woman in the left lane, she honks, but it's too late. And she hits the front of his vehicle so hard. And then she veers to the right. And there was a woman on the street that, the cross street there, waiting to turn right, just waiting behind the line, just waiting. And this white car that hit the police bashed into her and broadsided her right in front of me, 25 feet in front of me. The noise is jarring. It brought back my PTSD from Pippa being run over. And Ember's birthday was Saturday. She turned 10. Which means it's been 10 years since I was run over with Pippa. And that noise was horrific. So the cop gets out, and he's just standing there in a daze. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's all, yeah. And I go, dude, I hate to break this to you, but you caused this. Get on the horn and get emergency vehicles here now. I can't believe I had to tell him that, but I did. Then I start triaging the people in the two vehicles. The one where the airbag deployed, the woman who got broadsided, she was grabbing her neck. I made her go sit on the curb. I made her sit perfectly still. I told her to lie down, but she wouldn't. So I made her sit perfectly still on the curb. I got her phone for her purse for her, so she could start texting and calling her boyfriend. The white car, which hit the police car because the police car or the police SUV was crossing into traffic, she was upset, first of all, screaming at the cop. And I'm all, ma'am, you have every right to be mad at this police officer, but yelling at him is not going to help. She had two teenage kids with her. They were distraught. The daughter was crying. I gave her a hug. I told her, look, you're okay. You're not bleeding. You're okay. So I triaged them. I got them on the curb. The cop finally called reinforcements. And when the paramedics arrived, then I left. And every one of the victims was like hugging me and thanking me and like, oh my God, you were great. You were so much better than that cop. And so then I went on my merry way with Ember. So then we're walking back across the street after going another mile. And now there's lots of cops and lots of police officers. And the traffic investigator comes up to me because the lady points out that I was a witness and they want my phone number, the people that were involved in the wrecks. So I go over and I give him my phone number, and the cop says, "Can I see your ID?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I give her my ID, and she says, "Did you see what happened?" And I said, "Yes, your officer pulled out into oncoming traffic, and that lady with the white car had no choice but to hit him. There was nowhere for her to go. And then when she hit him, she veered and hit that car that was waiting there to turn right and broadsided that car. And now here we are in this mess." And all the cops are all, "It happens. It's called an accident. And, if you're in your car as much as we are, it's bound to happen," said this one gorgeous cop to me. And I told the people, I said, "Look, A, your day is not going to get any worse. And B,
if you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes, at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, and no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
So I said, A, it is the worst day of your life, or, this is the worst part of your day, one of the worst days of your life, but these cars are fixable. And B, and I said this out loud, y'all just hit the jackpot. A cop caused this wreck. He pulled directly into traffic. So y'all are going to be suing the city, and you know what? Get good attorneys because you just hit the lottery. So I gave him my phone number and I left. And when I was telling my other friends from the park what happened, they said to me, "How is it you are always on scene for these events?" And thinking back in my life, that's been the story of my life. If something odd, bizarre, groundbreaking, earth-shaking, or historic is happening, I tend to be there. And I don't know why that is. I don't know. But it's very interesting. I'm a little shaken by that, but, I had no time. I had to go to the doctors today for my annual physical. They did all the labs, 127 different lab results, all told, and only one abnormal, which none of us can understand. My LDL cholesterol went from 80 to 104. 100 is deemed high. So I'm 4 points above high. My regular cholesterol is fine, 168. My LDL cholesterol is fine, 55. But my bad cholesterol is 105. So we're like, I wonder what that's about. So they're like, change your diet a little bit, give up the sweets and whatever, and watch the oils, and then we'll test it again in 6 months and see. Because the other cholesterols were great. I was, of course, micromanaging the lab results because I have medical anxiety. Like my white blood cell count is 4.9. Now 3.8 is low, and 8.0 is where it cuts off at high. So I'm normally in the 6s and the 5s, but I went down to like 4.6 or something like that. I'm like, why is my white blood cell plummeting? And she's like, that's a normal rhythm. It happens. You're not below 3.8, so, and your other white blood cells are fine. So, but of course I worry, my thyroid level was low, which means the thyroid's very active. But she's like, but it's not abnormal. It's all in the green. She's like, do you know how many 63-year-olds have a kidney at 98, have kidneys at 98%, have their liver functions completely normal, their kidney functions completely normal. She's like, if this were a quiz, you'd get an A+. So don't be upset, because I was all glum about it. I'm like, oh, my numbers are terrible. She goes, they're all in the green. I said, yeah, but they're low. They're like down at the end near the green, or they're up near the top near the green. She said, but they're still in the green. So medical anxiety is a bitch. Speaking of anxiety, Donald Trump has a lot. Now he has completely flip-flopped because everyone's turning on him about the Epstein files. They're going to get the votes to release the files. But here's the thing. Today he said, well, go ahead and release them. Guess what? He doesn't need congressional or Senate approval to release the Epstein files. This motion that they're doing was because he wouldn't release the Epstein files. But now that he says release them, he could release them today. It doesn't need a vote. Now, for those of you who are progressives on the internet, maybe you follow Dean Withers, a handsome young boy, and he's a kid. He's 22, maybe 23. And if that, he could be 19. I don't know. But anyway, he's very young, very well versed. But he had a MAGA caller call him and say, so what if Donald Trump screwed 15-year-olds? And Dean Withers was like, are you saying child rape is okay? And he's like, well, so what if he did it? And now that guy's being investigated, by the way, because he literally condoned child rape. And then we have Megyn Kelly, who said, well, they're barely legal. They're 15, they're 16. Megyn Kelly, who has a 14-year-old daughter, is out there saying a 60-year-old screwing a 15-year-old isn't that bad. Megyn, I don't know if you know this because you're really an idiot blonde and you give a bad name to idiot blondes, but 18 or under is illegal. So 16 is not barely legal. It's 100% illegal. 15 is not barely legal. It's 100% illegal. So now MAGA is trying to normalize child rape. And now they're trying to say that, well, it was Epstein, it wasn't Trump, and but all this other, and now, it's just so crazy. We have entered the world of the bizarre. And Trump could release the files this afternoon. He has that ability. The only reason Congress is voting, and then the Senate, is because Donald Trump wouldn't release the files. And they were trying to override him. But you have to wonder if he's now for it. Has he redacted them? Has he had someone go in and tamper with them before their release? Because he would. You got to wonder if he's suddenly saying release them, did he sanitize them? Did he put fraudulent documents in them? These people are career criminals. They're not going to suddenly honor the law. So really, this is all just ridiculous to me. It's really, really strange. Now people are, see, he's a great president. He's saying go ahead and release the files. Except he could release them. So why not, Don? Hey, Donnie. Why are you waiting for Congress to vote? To see who votes, so you can put them on a hit list? Why wait? Release them. You can. You've got the power. But who knows? I got to tell you, I wanted to talk about this topic later in the show, but it's really, you got to talk about what's really on your mind. And I watched its screener season, as you know. And I watched the movie Nuremberg. It's from Sony Pictures Classic. It's got Russell Crowe as Goering. Rami Malek plays a psychiatrist, real-life psychiatrist, who really did write a book about it. It's got Michael Shannon as the prosecutor at Nuremberg, a justice of the Supreme Court. It's got, just a ton of very famous people. And it's about the Nuremberg trials and how there were no war crime trials prior to Nuremberg. So it really wrote the book on, how to do this. But more importantly, it's told from the psychiatric point of view, from the psychiatrist. And he sat down and interviewed and, talked to Goering, Himmler. Hitler was dead. He had committed suicide. So Goering was the second in command, which is Russell Crowe. So he was the one that was, on trial along with 21 other people. And some of the things that they say in this movie, just watching the whole movie, people, I was like, we've learned nothing. We have learned absolutely crap from World War II because everything is happening again, just like it happened then. Even the same verbiage. Everything is happening again the same way with the same tactics and the same words. I was shocked. They asked Goering, well, why did you do away with Parliament, which was their Congress? And he said, we had a very strong mandate from the people. The people voted us in with a very strong mandate. They wanted us to be in charge. We didn't need the parliament. Well, doesn't that just sound like Trump when it comes to Congress and the Senate? Then, Goering said so many things that I just thought, this sounds like Trump's cabinet. You know? The minister of propaganda was up on trial. And I thought, well, this is the Pam Bondi from the White House. This is her. It was astounding, the similarities between Nazi Germany and the way the generals and the cabinet behaved and what's happening right now in our country. And the psychiatrist who treated these 22 men came home and wrote a book about it that no one wanted to read because the book was about how America could be heading for that kind of future. And no one would listen to him. So in 1959, he committed suicide using a cyanide capsule just like Goering. Because once Goering was found guilty, he would not let the Americans hang him. He had a cyanide capsule sewn into his uniform and he used it. They never thought to look for it. So Goering, even though he was found guilty, was never hung, was never punished. He took the coward's way out, as he himself called it, and killed himself. But, there's an American soldier who was born in Germany, and he's begging the psychiatrist to not give up, to help the prosecutor put these men in jail. And the psychiatrist's like, look, I'm just a psychiatrist. What can I do? And the American soldier, who was German, looked at him and said, do you know why this happened in my country? Do you know why this happened here? And the psychiatrist, Rami Malek, was like, well, why? And he said, because everyone that could do something about it didn't. Well, I just sat there staring at the screen because that's exactly why we're here now. Everyone that could have prosecuted Donald Trump didn't. Everyone that could have stopped his ascent to power didn't. Now that he's in power, the people that could remove him from power don't. This is happening in our country because the people that can stop it won't. Just like Nazi Germany. Watch Nuremberg. Go to the theater and see it. It's out in the movies right now. It's a brilliant film. 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and you don't even feel it. And they use a lot of the transcripts from the original Nuremberg trial. And when you hear what Goering, the thing that really just iced my veins, and it's so MAGA. I was like, this is MAGA. Because Goering kept saying, I didn't know about all the killing of the Jews. I was the second in command to Hitler. Yes, I signed these documents, but I had so much on my plate. I didn't know they were doing this. Himmler was in charge of this. Himmler is the one. So the British attorney stood up and said, so you were the Reichsmarshal for these 4 years. Yes, I was. And in this year, this many Jews were killed. And in this year, this many Jews were killed. And he does this whole thing. And then he goes, so 6 million Jews were killed. And you claim to not know. He's like, okay, let's just take you at your word. Let me ask you this. Hitler knew, and knowing what you know now about everything that was happening, would you still follow Adolf Hitler? And Goering looked directly at the camera and said, yes, Heil Hitler. And I thought, that right there is MAGA. That no matter what the supreme leader did, no matter how horrible his crimes, they normalize them and they find a way to still follow him. That's what MAGA is doing right now. There could be photos of Donald Trump having anal intercourse with a donkey while a 15-year-old girl pleasured him. And I'm telling you right now that MAGA would excuse it. They would excuse it. And they would scream, oh, Biden, oh, the Democrats. They're irredeemable. I never thought that a human being could be irredeemable. I always thought that with the proper education, deprogramming, or whatever, that any human could get past, strange ideologies, like if you were in a cult or whatever. Well, I was wrong. There are approximately 77 million people in this country that voted for Trump, and of them, I would say at least 50 million are irredeemable. They're the ones calling Withers and saying, so what if Trump screwed a 14-year-old? So what if he committed child rape? Big deal. They're the ones calling Gretchen Whitmire's office. And I don't know if you've heard that voicemail. I could play it. And screaming, I hope you die. You're not going to win. Why do you keep committing hate crimes on us? You Democrats are... In one line, she says, you Democrats are so hateful, and then screams, you bitch, I hope you die. Not realizing that she's being the most hateful thing on the planet. These people are irredeemable. They have no saving graces whatsoever. And if you watch the movie Nuremberg, it will terrify you because it's happening again, right now, with the exact same playbook. It's astounding. It really is.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
No, give me a moment. I'm telling Stephen Mazur in the chat room that he's an idiot. Because he says everything you're saying about Trump right now applies to all the Democrats and Republicans. No, it doesn't. I'm tired of that argument. Democrats are not evil. I know everyone's been trying to paint Democrats as evil, and yes, there have been some corrupt Democrats. There have been. But they're not evil. Donald Trump is evil. MAGA is evil. Watch Nuremberg. You will understand. Rachel Capper saw it, and like she says, it should be required in every high school. No. Every streaming network and every television network should show this movie at the same time. So everyone around the globe has to watch it. Because if it doesn't chill you, if it doesn't tell you that we are in this state again, then you're an idiot. And I'm tired of sugarcoating it about calling people what they are. If you think Democrats are as evil as MAGA, you're an idiot. You don't have the sense God gave you. You are easily pliable through Fox News and through propaganda. You cannot critically think. They're not saints. No Democrat is a saint. No politician is a saint. But they certainly are not evil. MAGA is an evil movement. Look what they've done to trans people. That alone, just what they've done to trans people is evil. To make someone afraid of what ICE, what they are doing with ICE is evil. It's not politics. It's not policy. It's not immigration reform. It is pure, unadulterated evil. And if you don't think that or see that, then you're just stupid. And maybe you can be educated. Maybe you can be elevated. Maybe you could start critically thinking again. But it's time to just pull off the blinders and start calling these people what they are. Evil. Donald Trump is an evil man. He is causing people to die across the globe. He is splitting up families, tearing them apart. He is wrongfully incarcerating American citizens. He is sending National Guard into cities that neither deserve it nor need it. He is terrorizing actual Americans. And his party is doing things like removing a woman's freedom of healthcare decisions, removing her autonomy over her own body, taking healthcare decisions for trans families and trans children, taking their medical decisions out of their hands. That's evil. Vilifying LGBTQ people, calling them pedophiles, while he himself is someone who, it looks like, has sex with underage girls. Now, if you don't get that, I'm sorry. Stop listening to me and go away. You don't have to agree with me to listen to me, but you have to have a brain. Look, we can disagree on policy. We can disagree on how to solve the world's problems. We can disagree, but there are certain things we can't disagree on, like climate change. There's no room for disagreement there. It's happening. It's man-made. That's that. There's no disagreement on climate change. It is real. It is happening, and we are causing it. Period. If you disagree with that, you're too stupid to debate me. If you think having sex with a 15 or 16-year-old girl is excusable, or boy, you're wrong. There are not two sides to every debate. And for every evil thing Trump does, you can't say, yeah, but what about Biden? What about Nancy Pelosi? What about Chuck Schumer? What about Bill Clinton? What about them? When Bill Clinton left office, we had a surplus, a budget surplus. We were not in $34 trillion debt. How about that? Did Bill Clinton have sex in office? He did. It was consensual with a person over the age of 21. It wasn't with a 15-year-old and possibly his daughter. So point to me the evil of the Democrats. Point to me how Democrats could be equated to Nazis. Please. Are they the ones putting kids in cages at the border? No. Are they the one building a detention camp for people in the middle of the swamps of Florida that no human should stay in? No. Are they the ones funneling money to all their friends in the prison industry and all the other industries so they can make money off the suffering of people that get abducted by ICE? No. Are they the ones that took away a woman's right to choose? No. Are they the ones that started a war on trans people? No. So again, point out the evil. You know? Point it out. Because I don't see it. I don't see the evil. Are a lot of them opportunists? What politician isn't? What politician isn't an opportunist? I love Pete Buttigieg, but does he have political aspirations? Well, of course he does. It's his job. Don't you want to get promoted at your job? Is he evil? No. Pete Buttigieg tried to make sure that if your flight got canceled, that you got money back from the airline. The Republicans just took that away. So again, where's the evil from the Democratic side? I want specifics. I want actual specifics. I don't want you to just say they're evil. Tell me the actual specific things that they did that are evil. I condemn Bill Clinton to his face for Don't Ask, Don't Tell and for the Defense of Marriage Act. I told him those were evil policies, and he ushered them in. And I'm glad that he saw the error of his ways and has since apologized, but that doesn't change that they were very bad policies. So have Democrats put in policies that were not perfect? Yep. But why? Because they were caving to the Republicans. That's why. The GOP is a gang of pedophiles, it would appear. I mean, why else would they not want the Epstein files released, which Trump could do right now with the signature of a pen? That pen that he is so happy to do other things with. All right. We got lots more to talk about on this Monday when we come back. Please don't go anywhere. Part 2 of the Karel Cast is coming up. YouTube.com/.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
All right, part 2 of the Crowcast is coming back. Can your dog see things that you can't? We're going to continue to talk about how we never learn about certain things. The Nuremberg movie made that clear. We just never learn, John.
Uncensored, unfiltered, unhinged. It's the Karel Cast. Listen daily on your favorite streaming service.
Civil asset forfeiture. That's something that someone in the chat room at youtube.com/reallykarel just said that's evil, and both parties do it. And yes, civil asset forfeiture is evil because they just take your stuff and then you have to prove that you didn't commit a crime to get it back. However, you should know that it goes back to the 17th century England, which allowed for the seizure of cargo ships or ships' cargoes if they were found to be smuggling goods, okay? So it wasn't invented by Democrats or Republicans. It was invented by the British in the 1600s. The new American government enacted its own laws in 1789, okay? 1789. Then in the 1970s, Congress expanded it under a Republican Congress. Okay? So, is it not a good policy? No, it's not a good policy. But it started in Britain in the 1600s. It's been around in America since 1789, before there were Democrats or Republicans. But Republican Congresses, for their war on drugs launched by Nancy Reagan, went ahead and bolstered it. In fact, it was the Reagans who changed the parameters of civil asset forfeiture so Nancy's war on drugs could be a bigger war. So is it evil? Yes. Have Democrats left it in place? Yes. Should it be repealed? Yes. Did Democrats start it? No. So there we have it. And I get so tired of the false equivalence. Oh, well, for everything the Republicans do evil, so do the Democrats. No, they don't. In fact, some of the greatest presidents of our history, up until the party switch. See, the Republicans were a great party. They were a great party. And then they switched. They just sort of flopped their party. Abraham Lincoln's values were values that I believed in. Okay? James Garfield, a Republican, was a man that believed in equality, that believed blacks were a welcome part of society, that we would be a stronger society with the more diversity. He was pro-immigrant, although he did believe we needed immigrant, reform, that we needed an immigration system, but he was pro-immigrant. The Republican Party of old wasn't evil. And then Ralph Reed and the religious right took it over. And suddenly Republicans realized that you could get votes by dividing people on key issues, God, guns, and gays. And so the Democrats had to become the party of diversity, inclusion, equity. I was encouraged to find out the United States is leading the way in atheism. In fact, for the first time ever, a plurality of Americans, 52%, say they don't believe in God. They might be spiritual, they might believe in some sort of afterlife or whatever, but they don't believe in the Christian God. Only 49 or 48% of Americans believe in a Christian God. That's encouraging, because you're insane if you believe in a Christian God. So it's encouraging, and especially young people. 68% of young people do not believe in a Christian God. Yay. Yay. But this notion that the Democrats are as bad as Republicans, it's something, you know, Bette Midler has a great joke in The Rose. Someone's spreading the rumor that being broke is, or someone's spreading the rumor that being rich is a drag, but whoever's spreading that rumor is dead ass broke. Someone's spreading the word that Democrats are horrible and worse than Republicans. And you know who's spreading that word? Republicans. Republicans. Because my lifetime, 63 last November 7th, it has been the Democrats that have cared more in policy, action, and words than the Republicans. It hasn't been the Democrats for my entire life that have told me I'm not equal. It's been Christian Republicans. It hasn't been the Democrats that have tried to make laws against me getting married, laws against me being in public. It's been Christian Republicans. It hasn't been the Democrats that tried to stop women that I know from getting abortions that they needed. It's been Christian Republicans.
If you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes, at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, and no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
All right, I know you all can see this. I tried to wear a shirt where you couldn't. My cancer. That bandage goes all the way to my back. And the reason it's in the front is because when I took off the bandage they put on, there was a blister under the tape and I didn't know it. And when I ripped off the bandage, it ripped off the blister. And the blister is now more painful than the surgery. The surgery is back here. This bandage goes all the way around. It comes off on Wednesday when I get the stitches out. But that's what that is. That's the cancer, or where the cancer was. It's weird when you've had cancer. I've had cancer twice now, squamous cell carcinoma and basal cell carcinoma. And, you know, it's not stage 4 colon cancer or anything, but it is weird when the word cancer comes into your life. Because now I am predisposed for skin cancers. And now that I've had 2, there's an 80% chance that I'll have another. And so, my whole life now I'm going to have to go being checked and having them removed and until I'm 90. Once I reach 90, fuck it. If I reach 90, I'm going to eat whatever I want, do whatever I want, drink whatever I want. I'm just not, and I'm going to have no more test. No more test. Once I reach 90, you can't test me. No more test. I'm done with test. I really am done with test. Every time they go looking for something, they find it. I'm done. Anyway, I'm tired. Ranting and raving. Plus, I've been going since early morning. I got up at 4 a.m., had breakfast, went to the park, did the 2 miles, got involved in that car wreck, got home at 8:20, had to leave at 8:25, 8:30. I had to play ball with Ember for 10 minutes first because her schedule will not be changed. And then off to see my primary care doctor at 9 o'clock, where I had to wear a mask everywhere because I can't get vaccinated and there were sick people everywhere. Although they have the new place that she's at has a sick waiting room and a waiting room. Why doesn't every doctor's office have that? They have a sick waiting room that has plexiglass all the way up to the ceiling and you have to open a door and go into it. And so air can't get out. And then they have a well waiting. So if you're just there for regular visits, you go sit in the well waiting room. Say well waiting room 3 times. Well waiting room, well waiting room, well waiting room. The time is here. Christmas is here. Spread the oy. All this Black Friday shit already. Anyway, so that was very cool. They have a sick waiting room and a well waiting room. So I got there at 9. Didn't get done with there until 10:20. Came home, prepped the show, got it all posted and everything so we could go live at 3. 11:45, fed Ember her lunch, went to lunch myself, and then at 1 had to go to the sleep doctor to have my mouthpiece thing that they made adjusted for the sleep apnea. Then came back home, had 1 hour to read the news, and now here I am. So what a day, right? I know, isn't that a great idea? A sick waiting room and why don't they all have that? Why doesn't every doctor's office have a waiting room that's completely enclosed for people who are sick and a waiting room that's not for people who are not sick, who are just there for their regular checkups or there to get lab results or whatever, or have things that you can't catch, like the cancer or whatever. Yeah, that is a great. Why don't ERs have that? When you walk into an ER, it's like walking into Beirut. You know what I mean? There's people all because they treat you out in the chairs now. Our healthcare system is so disgraceful in America now that if you go to an ER, you are usually treated in the lobby. And I ain't making that up. Because they're all full. And please do not blame the illegals. J.D. Vance is out blaming immigrants and illegals for young people not being able to afford houses. He said the illegals are buying them all up. People that come across the border with nothing to their name suddenly have hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a house. J.D. Vance is possibly one of the stupidest people on planet Earth. He really is. Anyway, can your dog sense things that you can't? As I told you, it's screener season. There's another movie that's out that you must watch. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler. The dog does not die. Because I Googled it. I can't watch movies where dogs die anymore. I can't do it. It rips me to shreds. I cry for days. Can't do it. So there's a movie out called Good Boy. Okay? It's a horror movie. You can stream it right now. You can rent it. It's called Good Boy. It's about a dog named Indy, who is the writer-director's dog in real life. Never been in a movie before in his life, this dog. But he's in this one. And the entire movie, the entire point of view is told from the dog's perspective. There's probably not 5 lines of dialogue in the entire movie from humans. You hear humans talking, but like a dog, you don't really understand what they're saying. It's kind of Charlie Brownish, wah, wah, wah. So the premise is that they move into the grandfather's house, and the owner of the dog is sick. He keeps coughing up blood. We never really find out what's wrong with him. And when they move into this house that the father lived in, or the grandfather, I forget which it was, where he had died of a similar lung disease, and his dog mysteriously vanished, all of a sudden Indy starts seeing and hearing things. He sees things in the corner, in the shadows, and he sees a darkness, a dark presence, and he sees the other dog, even though the other dog isn't there. And the whole point is, can dogs sense the supernatural? Now, if you're a dog owner, you know damn well they can. Okay? I'm not even going to debate it. If you're a dog owner, you know that dogs have something that allows them to sense our soul, for lack of a better word. They know when their owner has died. They know the dogs that have gone to the graves of the owners and found the grave and been there every single day. Do I think Ember sees things that I don't see? I do, actually. Because there are times where she is convinced she is barking at something and there's nothing there. But she's not insane. She's not senile. And she's done it since she was a little dog. I fully believe it. I fully believe our dogs can see things that we can't. So the movie Good Boy was filmed for $70,000 over 3 years, self-financed by the director-writer and his wife, and they were the crew. Sometimes it was just the two of them and the dog on the set. Other times there's 2 actors in the movie. That's all we see, 2 actors. And they're not in every scene, the actor. Wait, the sister, 1, 2, 3, 4 actors. There's the CT person that gives the guy a scan. There's the neighbor. There's the owner of the dog, and then his sister. So 4 actors, but 1 dog. And that dog has the emotional range of Meryl Streep. I'm telling you right now. So do you think, I'd love to hear your comments down below. Do you think animals, in particular dogs, can see things and sense things that we cannot? Interdimensional things or supernatural, however you want to call that. Do you think they can? Because I do. I fully believe it. If there was a ghost, I'll tell you right now, Ember would see it. So, and yes, I'll be back at the 10 a.m. Time slot. I am only here today at 3 because I had appointments all day. As I just told you, I had a 9 o'clock appointment. I had a 1 o'clock appointment. I had appointments all day. So I had to be here at 3. But the rest of my week, there's no appointments early in the morning. So it's good. So I'll be back at 10 a.m. starting tomorrow. So don't panic. But today I had appointments. So yes, Good Boy is a great movie. Please stream it. And I think that dogs can sense things that we can't. Just like they know when we're sick. And I know that's the sense of their smell. They can smell cancer. They can smell COVID. But they know. I mean, they know. Like other dogs know when Ember is having a problem. You know, Ember had a UTI. And I went to the doctor, this is a few years back, and said she has a UTI. I said, how do you know? I said, Valentino, Steve's dog, told me. He said, well, how did he do that? I go, he wouldn't leave her private area alone. He kept smelling it and going after it more than normal. I go, there's something wrong back there. She has a UTI. So they tested her, and she did. And it was Valentino that told me. So, yeah, no, I totally think dogs are smarter than we give them credit for. I think they can sense things that we can't. And I didn't mean to get all angry earlier and call people stupid and call people names, but you know what? I'm at rope's end. You know, on Dean Withers' podcast, I heard someone that supports Donald Trump call in and say that child rape is okay. That so what if Trump did it? And enough of the Bill Clinton stuff. The brother of Epstein says Bubba is not Bill Clinton. Okay, so enough of, did Trump blow Bill Clinton? No, he did not. But I'm really at wit's end. I don't know what else to do anymore. We have people that will justify this man's actions no matter what he does. Have sex with a 15-year-old? Sure, that's fine. Rape and pillage our country? Sure, that's fine. I fully believe he drained the reserves of SNAP, and that's why he didn't give them their benefits. I fully believe that they have been pillaging the government behind the scenes. I fully believe that. And if it came to light that he was, his people wouldn't turn on him. I just can't. And so to equate those type of people with that man to Democrats, look, I spoke out against Joe Biden running for a second term. I did not think that he should do it. I'm a Democrat. I'm a progressive. I'm damn near a democratic socialist. And I said Bill Clinton. I said that Biden should not run. I was critical of Biden. His health, his memory problems. We needed someone younger and more vibrant. I was very open about that on my show, that he should not run. And I have spoken against many a Democrat who is either not standing strong enough, fighting strong enough, or has bad ideas. So the notion that Democrats won't... Look, many Democrats don't like Gavin Newsom. I think he's the front runner for president, not just because he's my friend, but I just think he is. But some Democrats don't like him. And they are vocal in that. They don't lockstep behind him just because he's a Democrat. So this notion that the Democrats are equal to MAGA is just wrong. We will criticize one of our own. We do criticize our own. That's part of our problem. We'd probably win more elections if we actually just shut up and lockstep behind them. But we are critical thinkers, most Democrats. And if we find someone that's doing something... Look, Bernie Sanders a long time ago should have been the president. It was clear that they wanted him more than Hillary. It was clear. The mobs that were showing up, the amount of young people that were involved, it was clear that Bernie Sanders should have been the candidate. But they chose Hillary. I love Hillary Clinton. It was a bad choice. She's a polarizing figure. I love her, but she's a polarizing figure. Bernie had the momentum. He had the youth vote. He had the good ideas. But the Democrats messed up and wouldn't make him the candidate. I am quick to criticize my own party. MAGA is not. So the notion that we're the same is just untrue. You know? It just is untrue. And so, do I think all members of MAGA are evil? No, I do not. As I said, thank you, Kennedy. People have suggested that I run for president. Many people have suggested that I run for president. Gavin Newsom suggested that I run for president. He's probably joking, but truly, I've heard that since my 30s, that I should run for president, not any other office. I had a MAGA person at the park. His name is Dan. He has 2 Great Danes. He told me if I ran for president, he'd vote for me, and he's MAGA. So I've been told that a lot. I wouldn't win. You know, it'd be a fun campaign, but I wouldn't win. So, and because I'm gay. It's the same reason Pete Buttigieg is a great candidate. He speaks well. He's intelligent. He's everything a president should be. And he likes to be bipartisan, the part of him that likes to be bi, you know? And he scares the right. That's why Tucker Carlson wants to give him some gay test. But I don't think that he would win because he's gay. I really believe we're still there as a nation, even more so now. I don't think moderate MAGA would vote for a gay guy. Me or Pete or anyone. I could be wrong. But would I want that responsibility? No, I like getting things done.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
Trump panics after failing to kill Jeffrey Epstein investigation and flips. Yep. Trump bows to the reality of the Epstein files in a rare retreat. Yep. Yeah, that's what's happening. And yet he could release them. So he hasn't really retreated. You know? He hasn't really retreated. Did you hear that the judge said that James Comey indictment is probably tainted by profound investigative missteps, and in an unprecedented move, the judge is allowing the defense the transcripts and audio from the grand jury. That's never done. The defense doesn't get to hear what was argued in front of the grand jury to get the indictment. But the judge said he believes there was such prosecutorial misconduct that he is allowing the defense to have the audio tapes and the transcripts from the grand jury. Normally that's sealed and the defense can't get it. But the judge is letting him. And the judge has said that the Justice Department has committed misconduct in the Comey case. Well, of course they have. You know, they talked about Biden weaponizing the Department of Justice. No, he didn't. See, that goes back to this contrast between Democrats and Republicans. Biden went out of his way to not. We wanted Biden. We wanted him to weaponize the Department of Justice. We wanted Donald Trump prosecuted. We wanted every J6 person thrown in jail. We wanted that to happen. But he stayed out of it. He didn't tell Merrick Garland what to do. On the other hand, Trump tells their attorney general exactly what to do. And if they won't do it, he'll fire them and get another one. He's like Alexis Carrington on Dynasty. I am the lead over Denver Carrington, and if you all don't vote the way I want, I'll fire you all and hire a board that will. Yes, I know lines from Dynasty. Of course I do. Of course I do. Meanwhile, what's Trump doing? Tripping over himself to give the Saudi prince a nice trip to Washington, D.C. The Saudi prince who probably killed Khashoggi or had him killed. Desperates hang out together, right? I mean, they do. They do. So, yeah. Here in Nevada, looks like we're going to give huge tax breaks to billion-dollar film companies so they'll open studios here. Because that's what we do here in Nevada. We give billionaires huge tax breaks so they'll bring their stuff here, and then we suffer. Isn't that smart? Of course, we're run by Republicans. So, there you have that. All right, don't forget to become a patron at patreon.com/Really Karel. That's patreon.com/Really Karel, spelled Karel. Or subscribe and like and comment on the videos at youtube.com/Really Karel, youtube.com/Really Karel. Again, at the beginning, the guy in the chat room, Steve, got me kind of angry because he was like, they're all bad, Republicans and Democrats and, blah, blah, blah. And look, I don't revere Democrats. I don't put them on pedestals. Okay? I don't think, they can do no wrong. No, they've done lots of wrong. But were they malicious? No. MAGA and Trump are malicious. They're like Hitler. They're malicious. They want their enemies to fall. They want anyone that's not like them to not have rights, to not be visible, to not be able to have a productive, happy life. They want to punish those that oppose them. That's not what Democrats do. So to say that they're the same, they're not. They're not. And if you think that, you're misguided and maybe ill-informed or maybe just plain stupid. But either way, they're not. Calling people stupid is not a way to win friends. I know. And look, I've been stupid before. I've had really stupid opinions before. You can have really stupid opinions or do really stupid things and not be a stupid person. Okay? I've done really stupid crap in my life. Mostly personal and mostly to people I love. But still, I've done really stupid things. Doesn't mean I'm a stupid person. MAGA, on the other hand, they do stupid stuff because they're stupid. They have low IQs. They're filled with hatred, bigotry, xenophobia, transphobia, homophobia. They're just afraid of anything not like them, so they want it stamped out. And they follow a guy who could care less about them, and they would follow him into hell. Those are weak minds. So we have to deal with them. I mean, and through it all, I don't want harm to befall them. I really don't. I don't want harm to befall MAGA. I simply want them to not be in power because they just don't have the ability. The people in power are not MAGA. They're oligarchs. They're autocrats. They're not MAGA. They may get votes from the MAGA party, but they're not MAGA. MAGA are the guys with the pickup trucks and the little penises and the big flags and all that. That's MAGA. MAGA are the people at the food banks because their checks didn't come. That's MAGA. And I don't want harm for them. I wouldn't deny MAGA food at a food bank because they voted for Donald Trump and he's the one that got them into this mess. I wouldn't deny them health care because their rates have tripled and now they can't afford it. That's just not what I want for them. I want them to enjoy America as much as anybody else, but they can't because they just see America differently. They see it as something from the past, and they want the ways of the past. I see it as something of the future, and I want the ways of the future, which is diversity, equity, inclusion. Fix the immigration system so you don't make criminals out of the people trying to legally come here. Help the rest of the world so people don't want to flee their countries. Make those countries stronger. Stop discriminating against people of any kind just because you don't like their skin color or their sexual orientation or the fact that they're trans. And let's all share in prosperity, not just Elon Musk with $1 trillion and, all these other billionaires. Let's all share in wealth. Let's redistribute it amongst all people so people can afford houses, can afford rent, can afford food. I want everyone to be able to live in America and be happy. That's what separates me from MAGA. I am Karel. Be who you want to be. So it doesn't hurt anybody. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. tomorrow, 10 a.m. Wednesday, 10 a.m. Thursday. So we'll see you at 10 a.m. Unless God knows what else happens to me at the park. This morning there was a giant wreck that I had to help out with.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service.